It's funny how sometimes the most innocent stories can have the darkest secrets, at least according to the internet. Today, we're going to dive deep into the really strange case of a children's cartoon shark and the kind of bizarre double life it leads online.
So, this is the question that just pulls you right down the rabbit hole. It kind of suggests that the happy, smiling shark you see, yeah, that's not the whole picture. It implies there's another story, a hidden one that we absolutely need to uncover. So, the story of Finny the shark it's kind of fractured. You've got these two very different versions fighting for your attention online. On one hand, you have the bright, colorful, totally parent-approved official story. And on the other, a much darker, kind of twisted narrative that was born in the shadowy corners of internet forums.
All right, first up, let's take a look at the official story. This is the version you'd probably find if you were a parent looking for a new show for your kid. It's bright, it's super cheerful, and honestly, it's exactly what it looks like on the surface.
So, what is this official story? Well, it's a Canadian animated series made for preschoolers. The whole show is really about seeing the world through the eyes of a little kid, and it's focused on all those wholesome themes like friendship, family, and, learning new stuff. And you know what? The show's core idea is actually pretty clever. It takes all those universal childhood experiences. I'm talking about the first day of school, a trip to the dentist, a sleepover, and just completely transforms them into these epic adventures, all through the power of Finny's imagination. And Finny isn't alone on these adventures, of course. He's got his family, Mama and Papa Shark, and his pet jellyfish, Sparky. Plus, he's got this whole crew of friends like Myrtle the Turtle, Chloe the Crab, and Oscar the Octopus. It's, a perfectly wholesome, really supportive little underwater world.
Okay, so that's the official version. But if you start searching for Finny the shark online, you might just stumble onto something else. And this is where the tone shifts, the questions get way darker, and we step into the internet's unofficial story. And this is the title that pretty much started it all. Just look at how it's phrased. It doesn't ask, hey, what is Finny the shark about? No, it asks what really happened. That wording is so deliberate, it's designed to make you think that wholesome story we just talked about is actually a cover-up. This title is a classic gateway to a type of internet folklore that's often called creepypasta. You can basically think of them as modern digital ghost stories. The whole point is to take something really innocent, like a kid's cartoon, and just twist it into something dark and unsettling, effectively ruining your childhood.
Okay, let's break this down a bit more. That word, really, it implies deception. And the phrase, the full story explained, suggests that whatever you think you know is only part of the truth. This language creates an instant mystery, and it invites you, the reader, into a kind of conspiracy, a secret that you're about to be let in on.
So how do we reconcile these two completely different takes on a simple cartoon shark? Well, it's time to connect the dots and figure out what's actually going on here.
Okay, so here's where the two worlds really collide. On one side, you've got the official wiki. That's a space that's all about facts, about documenting what actually happens in the show. But on the other side, you've got this implied story, a world of pure speculation, mystery, and conspiracy. It really is the difference between documenting what is and just imagining what if. And here's the big reveal, the crucial point. These are not two conflicting truths about the show's actual content. Not at all. What we're actually looking at are two totally different ways that communities engage with media. One is all about canon, the official story. The other is about fandom, the stories that the internet imagines and creates.
To put it as simply as possible, one community documents stuff. The other one creates stuff. The fandom wiki community, their goal is to be a reliable encyclopedia, just documenting what happens in every episode. But the community that creates titles like What Really Happened, they have a completely different goal, to create new fiction, to remix the original material into something else entirely.
So you might be asking, why does this matter? It's just a cartoon shark, right? Well, it matters, because this whole phenomenon reveals something really fundamental about how we consume and interact with pretty much all media in the digital age. So how does an alternate lore like this even get started? Well, it usually follows a pretty clear pattern. First, the original piece of media gets released. Then, almost right away, a community forms to just document the facts. These are your wiki builders. But at the exact same time, another community starts to speculate, asking those what-if questions and creating all sorts of fan theories. And eventually, these two streams just diverge, and you end up with two separate stories existing around the exact same show.
So really, the main takeaway here is that in today's media world, a lot of stories have two lives. You've got the one created by the producers, the official version, and then you have the one that gets completely remixed by the internet.
And all this brings us to a final question for you to think about. I mean, Finny the Shark is just one example, right? What other stories have you seen out there that have these two lives, the official version and the one the internet created?